Finally, Jungkook's solo concert in NYC and BTS reunion, a combination that made fans unable to hold back tears. New York fell silent. The city lights that never go out seemed to give way to one much larger spotlight. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, finally stood alone on stage, in the heart of the entertainment world, Madison Square Garden. But it wasn't just this historic solo concert that made the world tremble. Right in the middle of his performance, the giant dark screen turned bright, and the silhouettes of 6 other men slowly appeared behind the fog. That second, the world knew BTS had reunited. Tears, screams, and joy exploded simultaneously, creating a moment that was not only monumental for K-pop history, but also for the millions of hearts that had been waiting, secretly hoping. How could this happen? Why now? And how could one concert become the emotional center of gravity for the 2 most anticipated moments in the history of the Korean entertainment industry? Jungkook's solo concert in New York City had actually been predicted by industry observers since he released the Golden Album in 2023. But its realization in June 2025, with tickets selling out in 17 minutes, not only proved his solo power as a global artist, but also presented something that even investor reports, streaming algorithms, or the wildest fan speculation didn't predict: a BTS reunion. For most of the audience that night, the concert was more than enough. Jungkook's extraordinary performance of Standing Next to You, 3D, and the classic song Still With You with a new arrangement filled the arena with emotion. But when he stopped in the middle of the song and said, "I've never really been alone," then the lights went out and the screen showed a lightning montage of BTS's past. Everyone knew this wasn't the end of an ordinary show. One by one, RM, Jeon, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, and V appeared, walking down the stage with their respective spotlights directly from behind the audience. The dramatic effect of this sudden appearance made some of the audience sit down and cry. This was not a recorded performance or a hologram. They were present, alive, real, and together again. For the first time since mandatory military service began, the 7 members of BTS stood on the same stage, singing Spring Day in a harmony unbroken by time. What seemed like a spontaneous surprise was actually the culmination of a complex strategy, sensitivity to timing, and creative intelligence that is characteristic of BTS. Industry sources say that HYB has been planning this unification moment since the end of 2024. Early cues were seen from the movement of BTS's old staff, vague posts on Weverse, and the silent pattern of each member mysteriously stopping updating their social media 2 weeks before Jungkook's concert, a silence that has now proven meaningful. The global reaction was unmatched. The hashtags #Jungkook solo concert and #BTS reunion became the #1 trending topics in 42 countries within 1 hour. Western media, from Billboard to the New York Times, dubbed this moment the biggest cultural reconciliation in a decade. Even big singers like Justin Bieber and Billie Eilish posted congratulations. Why New York? Why was Jungkook's solo concert the stage for the biggest reunion in the group's history? According to music analysts, the location and timing of the concert were very strategic. New York is not only the largest music market in the US, but also the place where BTS made one of their biggest debuts on The Tonight Show in 2018. In addition, Jungkook has built his global influence independently. Songs like 7 and Yes or No penetrated new demographics, reaching listeners who previously didn't even know K-pop. But all of this would not have had such a big impact if it wasn't coupled with a deep emotional element: longing. For the past 2 years, BTS fans have lived in the shadow of a separation triggered by mandatory military service. Although communication was maintained through social media, the absence of direct interaction left a void. So when the reunion happened in the midst of the euphoria of a solo concert, The moment was like an emotional explosion that had been held back for too long. Even more amazing, BTS didn't just appear to sing one song. They performed an exclusive redesigned medley, including Boy with Love, Microcosmos, and Butter in an orchestral version that utilized Jungkook's stage power. This session was not just a nostalgic performance, but also an affirmation that they were not finished. "This is not the end of our solo journey," RM said on stage after the last song. "But tonight, we are back as 7 like before. And there will always be room for that." The statement confirmed that although each member's solo path will continue, BTS's collective identity remains alive, maintained, and ready to ignite again at any time. For fans, this is a validation of every year of waiting, of every message they send to the sky through the lights of the army bomb. More than just a concert, that night was proof that the love between BTS and their fans is not just an idol-follower relationship, but an emotional bond across time, language, and national borders. After the concert, HYB's merchandise store reportedly ran out of stock in 45 minutes. Digital sales of BTS and Jungkook's solo songs rose 412% in one day. Not only that, Spotify recorded the highest streaming record in one day for a K-pop catalog. Even the official BTS website experienced a 900% surge in traffic, causing the server to be inaccessible for 2 hours. I guess this is a sign that a new era of BTS is beginning. Some observers believe this concert is a stage test for cross-solo and group projects. The fact that HYB was able to unite all 7 members at one time outside of Korea with perfect secrecy shows that the machine behind BTS is still running with high precision. There is speculation that this concert will be part of an international documentary film, or even the first step towards a new group album after all members complete their mandatory military service at the end of 2025. For Jungkook, this concert wasn't just about him. He made his biggest moment a space for togetherness. He confirmed that even though he shines alone, his light is never separated from the other 6. And for the world, that night was proof that music history is not only written in the studio, but also on stage. In moments where millions of voices unite in tears of emotion that cannot be explained by any number. One concert. One reunion. One night that changed everything. Between fact and fantasy, did Jungkook's solo concert in NYC and this BTS reunion really happen? However, before this euphoria overflows too far, let's stop for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is all of this really real? Is it true that Jungkook held a spectacular solo concert in the heart of New York City and BTS reunited on stage so suddenly? Or could all of this just be a narrative shaped by bias, expectations, and rapid media consumption? Have we ever asked, where does this information actually come from? We live in an age where a 10-second video on TikTok can shape global opinion. A Twitter thread with the emoji's eyes can revive hopes that have been dead for years. And one vague post on Instagram without a caption, just the silhouettes of 7 male shadows, can divide the K-pop world between belief and skepticism. Even the article you are reading is not entirely free from that dynamic. We compiled it based on a compilation of information from various public sources, viral snippets on TikTok, emotional reactions from fans on Twitter, live stream snippets on YouTube, to long narratives from fan blogs. But can we really call all of this journalistic truth? Let's review. There has been no official broadcast from Big Hit Music or HYB stating that the concert actually took place on the date mentioned. There was no press conference, no official ticket publication on global sales sites like Ticketmaster, and most strikingly, no live coverage from mainstream media that usually quickly reports on global events like this. Shouldn't this be an alarm for us? Then, why do we still believe? Maybe because we want to believe. Because this story is too beautiful to ignore. Jungkook's solo concert, which has been long awaited, finally came to fruition, And at the peak of the emotional climax, the other 6 members of BTS appeared like shadows of hope that became real. This narrative is like taken from a film script written by fans, directed by collective expectations, and produced by social media algorithms. Does this mean we are becoming victims of digital mass delusion? Or could this be a modern form of immersive storytelling, a new way of conveying stories that emotionally involves the audience? Even if it is not fully supported by validated facts, it is important for us all to ask, do we believe because there is evidence, or because we want it to be true? Do we spread information because we are sure, or just because it is viral? And if this story turns out to be untrue, who benefits the most? Is it entertainment labels? Content creators? The media? Or is it the fans themselves who unknowingly reinforce the illusion to ease their longing? Let's open our eyes. Reality and engineering in the digital age often have very thin boundaries. At a time when technology is able to create deepfakes that are almost impossible to distinguish from the original, and AI can produce visualizations of fictional concerts with amazing detail, how can we be sure that what we see and hear is reality? Skepticism does not mean cynicism. Skepticism is intellectual self-defense against the post-truth era, when fact and fiction are no longer separated by evidence, but by a more preferred narrative. And in the case of Jungkook's concert and this BTS reunion, the narrative is tempting, almost irresistible.